Alrighty, hello everyone, and welcome to the stream. It's Monday morning. It's time to get ready for the markets, and obviously, it's a little bit wild out there, guys. Just a couple of numbers I'll give you: 43.70 for silver. Woo! Up 1.6%. Can't say I'm sad. Probably a few of you aren't sad about that either. It's up quite a lot. Gold over 3,700. Nice move, 1.12. And of course, the cryptoverse going backwards, down 2 on Bitcoin. Will it find buyers? Just hit one of the first levels, or just around the first levels of support, coming to that 111,000 area mark. And of course, the US market's down about 0.3% across the board. I hope you had a great weekend. I hope you're ready to get started and talking about everything that's to do with markets, because it does look like going to be a little bit of action this week. We are in the worst 2 weeks as well of the year. And of course, you guys know that October is looking data statistically like it's going to be a bit volatile. Also, we got that weird read as well, which was a strange data point that said that 0% of the time markets were bullish over the next period. And while that's only, 6 data reads, still, it's pretty interesting. All right, we'll go through everything. We'll see what we end up with conclusion. And we've got Dr. Horton. We've got Michael, Chris, INF. Always great to see you, INF. Appreciate your comments, man, every day. TFC, DB, Trident, Peter, Joe, Dames, Jose, Punjabi, Ayaween, I think it is. Liking silver and gold's move. DEC, Joe, Raja, Drokhalis. I like that name. It's pretty cool. And then we have William as well. US oil looking to buy from here. All right, we'll check it all out. So, guys, let's start off, I guess, with probably the big discussion point of today, which is going to be the Bitcoin and crypto markets. So we see here a fall. Now, you guys know I'm bullish on Bitcoin at the moment. So what that means is it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be bullish here. So I actually am still bullish even if it goes into the high 90s. Because, of course, I'm thinking it's following kind of similar track. But the key here is probably this level, 110,000 to 111,000. This area that is just tapped into. And the reason is because that's where we found that kind of key level of accumulation before that broke to the upside. This is a pretty normalized type of move for the crypto markets. And then, of course, you're looking for the upside post that if it does happen. If we go to the weekly, you'll notice the weekly did reject. So this is an important rejection candle here that's starting to come through. So, of course, it's a little worrying. But if we look at something like Ethereum just for a moment, what you'll notice is it just swung the lows, or just got about swung the low. So I'd expect it to try to swing this low. So this is the low over here. There's going to be a lot of stop losses under here. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see that market kind of get hit at some point over the next 24 hours. Now, if it does bounce off that very aggressively, we get that 111K kind of Bitcoin, 110K Bitcoin in a bounce. I think that would be really good for the bulls. For now, of course, small time frames, the bears are in control, and we're basically trapped within a range here on a lot of these coins. So that's kind of to start off with. On gold, 3,700 plus. Okay, maybe we'll go to 3,750. My normal concept here is to go for 4,000, 4,200 an ounce for gold. So I do like that. And silver, it looks like it's maybe just going to keep going. And we're looking for $48 an ounce. So that's where I'd like to see silver ultimately be. Plus, I think it's going to go all-time highs. I actually do feel silver looking very, very nice on the ratios. What do you guys think, though? What is your target for silver over the next coming months and maybe year? Let me know. And I'm interested to see your opinions. Drocala says here, metals are going to go sick mode if NVIDIA will continue to suck ass compared to TSM. Okay. They're supposed to platform in line with each other in normal bull markets. I don't like that they've separated. It's all right. I don't think that's too big a deal, but I understand that you like to see them go together. And Monetary Flow says, hey, Tom, what are your thoughts about around margin investing? What does that mean? You mean the fact that people are in massive margin and people are trading in huge amounts of risk at the moment? Or are you saying, like, should you use margin? I think at the moment, margin is very dangerous for a lot of people. I think as you get further and further in what is effectively now being kind of a 14-year bull market, since we made those all-time highs back in 2012 kind of area, so 13, 14 years, I kind of feel like this is not the time to be hugely levered. Obviously, traders don't care as much because you know, stop losses and stuff like that, but certainly something to consider. So it's silver bullish, gold bullish, Bitcoin maybe bearish into bullish. What about the US 500? We did get a couple of interesting reads. It's pretty overbought now. I saw the read come in this morning that kind of showed overboughtness. Now, you'll note that I said last week, we talked about this level, and once you take that, you generally get a couple of sessions up. So we had one session up, and then we've now got a little bit of a bear position here coming through. I think it's worth having powder at this point available. Remember, we've kind of said for most of September that we believe the sell is coming, that there could be a sell in October. Again, I'm not thinking diabolical sells, guys. They're just standard kind of things that happen. And at this stage, I do expect whatever drop to be, if there is a drop, for it to be bought up. Now, if you're in the market already, is the trend still up? The answer is quite simply, yes, it is. Now, sometimes when you get a read like this, what actually ends up happening is this, what we call a pit style. So am I that scared of the market right now? Not from this aspect. If the story is inflation concerns, if it does sell and that's the story, I'm not that worried. If the story is something else, we can assess it. But from what I'm seeing in the markets at the moment, a lot of it seems to be pointing towards that kind of inflation concern concept, because we've got yields that went up last week off the back of the Fed announcement. And then, of course, we also have the US dollar, which started to bounce up as well. Not bullish on dollar long term, but it did start to buck that trend, which is kind of interesting there. Really curious about Ethereum. Yeah, but I think Ethereum is hasn't swiped the low, so not really there. And Style says here, no target for silver, just a hedge for me. Fair enough. Thoughts on food, Starbucks, Chipotle, General Mills, Kraft, etc. Well, I don't know. Won't food be kind of hit up by RFK Jr.? Isn't he attacking food companies? I'm not too sure. Probably not a sector I like at the moment. Daniel says here, silver upside significant targets, 51.70, 67, using some GAN analysis once it gets above 44.76 GAN level. Yeah, well, that's one way of doing it. I don't mind some GAN analysis or GAN analysis, depending on how you say it. Depends. Some people pronounce it differently, but yeah, it's okay. And you can use fib extensions as well for levels. US 500 though, pretty nice. NASDAQ, of course, also getting an overbought reading, kind of an extreme overbought reading. Last time we had that was around here. It actually go up a bit from there. They all ended up in sells though, or sideways action. Here, sideways action, sell. Here, sell. You kind of get an idea here that we're certainly, what I would say is extended. I would say extended. Not diabolically extended to the point where I think the market's going back, because, again, guys, when you're looking at markets, you've got to say, well, are we seeing the leaders, that is the semiconductors, are they still leading? Yes, semiconductors have beaten SPY. Semiconductors broke out. RK, which is, of course, retail risk on, broke out. So what that suggests that any dips, again, probably going to be bought by rips, because, again, it's just quite a bullish market here from what we're kind of seeing. Puts on Disney, ABC have been floundering under them. And yeah, is Disney moving down? All the Disney should be down. Yeah. Doesn't look very good in the charts anyway. Kind of already started to weaken around here, then went up. Of course, starting to weaken again. And there's some movements down that can get back into the hundreds. So it'll be an interesting zone. China markets, still bullish on China markets. Obviously, Russell 2000 still looks like it's holding pretty nicely. Don't have a new buy zone dip yet for this. I'll be using the US 500, but I think around this area of Doji probably is the key. So 2360 kind of area, or the weekly 20 if we ever do get big sell-offs. So that'll be an interesting point to look at. We've also got US oil, which is dropping down. Looks pretty bad on the weekly close. You'll note I've been talking about it potentially finding buyers around here. Looks like it's going to drop a new low today, though. So this is the problem a little bit with oil. Why I've said that, OIH and XLE are a little bit better because they'll generally hold the technical better. But yeah, that is a bad weekly close. I'm loath to buy more or anything of oil until I see further action. I mean, you're not really out of even the first problems until you pass 66 barrels. So I've said this quite a few times. Oil is such a tough trade this year because of the things with the US and, of course, the Middle East and the geopolitical tensions in general. And that's causing this to be quite a tough trade. So I would say that when you're looking at oil, although I don't know if this will drop today, we'll see. I mean, you never predict that it's going to happen, but certainly it's looking a bit bad here when you come in a few hours later after the Asian Open and you go through and you say, well, wait a second, it's got no bid on it. So I'll be watching quite a lot at the under if that does happen. How it reacts around there will be quite key, I think. Hey, Tom, do you think there'll be a pullback in gold before it goes ballistic? I don't know. I think there'll be a highly volatile period for gold soon. I think people are kind of getting a little bit too bullish on it. So, I'm really bullish on gold, of course. I have been for a long time, and I pretty much just been saying bull, 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 bull. I do think there will be a highly volatile event on gold. It's probably going to push, I think, a 10% volatility event. But look, would I buy it here? Probably not. I just don't think it's that great a price to be buying, you're stacking, investing or whatever. The other thing is I prefer day trading gold at the moment. If you're around these prices, it had a pretty good plug, I guess, for my day trade masterclass. There was a very replicable setup on both gold and silver last week, which could have done the small time frames. And that's paid pretty well ratio wise. For a few of you are aware of that are here in the community. But yeah, adding new positions, maybe not. Kind of tough. Still holding Tesla and NVIDIA and SoFi and Palantir for the long term. Cool, Michael. Oz Metals and China and Bitcoin. Yeah, China's good. Metals are good. Bitcoin is, I think, okay for now. How likely is it the Bitcoin goes under 100K before it goes up? I think when you're talking about those numbers, you've got to kind of look at the chart and say, well, what would it achieve? So there's going to be a lot of people getting wiped here, and there'll be a few getting wiped here. So you got to think of them as liquidation points. So at the moment, who's going to be liquidated? It really depends whether somebody with enough money to push this around wants to add bags. So if they want to get bags and they want to create liquidity, there's probably a lot of, I would say, a hell of a lot of profit to be made by pushing under these levels. Likelihood of it, like 30-40% would be a guess that I'd arbitrarily give it. But yeah, I do think that in here will be probably purchased up pretty aggressively. I just don't see the end of the crypto sphere stuff yet. We just began with tokenization. Now everyone says tokenization, this, tokenization, that. You guys notice that? It's always like everything's tokenization. Yeah, man, we're doing it. We're tokenizing. And you're like, what's that? They're like, yeah, tokenize, So it reminds me a bit of NFTs when everyone was like, yeah, I've got NFTs. I'm like, what was it do? And they're like, oh, well, it's an expression of interest. It's an expression of art. Okay. What do you do with it? Well, I own it. Okay. And then I set it as my X handle. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of the way it goes a little bit there with the NFTs. But everybody is very heavy in this world of tokenization. I don't think it's over yet. The way that whole thing will play out in the end. Put into the S&P 500 this week? It's already been known. So it was that was announced weeks ago and got its bump from that. Tesla still kind of dull, slowly glowing up here. I would say that it's at resistance. It's obviously cleared one of my levels last week, which you know that I talked about, 400. 450 is a potential target if you're in long. That's based on the calls. So that's going to be a pretty key level. In terms of the mag stocks, you saw last week, Apple actually ended up getting a little bit of a better launch on the iPhone than people expected. So anyone here bought an iPhone 17 Pro, Air, the normal one? Anyone bought these phones? I only just found out on the weekend that you can get a phone that does this. It folds twice, unfolds twice, and turns into a giant tablet and costs 6,000 Australian dollars. I mean, what a bargain. Anyone seen that phone? 3 times fold out. What do I need it for? Don't know. Would I pay $6,000 for a phone? No. Why? Because it's stupid. But people do. Look at it. $6,000 dues. What's that, like probably 4K American? What do you reckon, guys? You want to pay $4,000 for 3 screens that all fold out to everything? iPhone 17 looks good because 16 was god awful. I agree. Meeting says, no, it's not stupid. Yeah, it's all right. At least it's cool that it happened. But I probably wouldn't use it still. Who's got room in their pockets for that? Oh, it's super thin. You can actually use it. I would say it's usable. Very usable, but I still don't particularly think it's really that good. Screen real estate starts to intersect mini PCs. Well, that's the thing. It looks kind of like a mini PC, but I guess at least it's foldable. 5,950 bargain for you. Yeah. That's not a phone. That's 3. Very good. No, but I'm buying the AirPods 3 as I'm using it for a hearing aid for my dad. Yeah, they're pretty cool. They're pretty decent, I think. Tokenization introduces centralization. Yeah, I understand the story. Oh, good. I know how it's going to, like, I still think it's all going to lead into the same thing that I've thought for years, but for now, there's more hype to be had. What about Amazon? You can see here that it's kind of like slowly, floating on way up. I don't really think there's too much position here. Amazon. Google continues to rally. Obviously, one of our favorites, one of the few that I bothered to do some fundamental analysis, barely fundamental analysis on a little while ago for you guys. Turns out that it was very nice. So it continues to get up there. It's starting to get definitely more fairly priced, I would say, though. I wouldn't chase it anymore, but it's it's been a bit of a winner. Another overbought signal on this. Microsoft, one of my old favorite stocks in the market, that's been kind of looks actually more bullish than bearish if you kind of think about it. It's made a little high here, but not that exciting here in these mag stocks. Maybe the most exciting one to me is actually NVIDIA, but only if it really breaks 185. I could certainly see a case for scaling, like a half position or a third position in here, the stop below, and then pressuring that 185 if it breaks out. But I could also say, I don't think it's going to get that big move on it until it gets past 185. So that's going to be a big thing here. All phones are getting marginally better. No giant leaps anymore. Yeah. Can you look at Agri? Could run 2,000% today. I called Octo 3,000 to 80. Okay. Agri. Is Agri? Let's have a look. We'll have a look at Agri for you, sir. Agri Force. Is this a puny stock? Oh, sick. 3.16 million. Come on, man. Too small, dude. This stuff's stupid. Oh, I hate this stuff so much. I hate it because it's not so much that there's not up or it doesn't go somewhere or anything. I just think it's just I've been here, done this one, you know. How many people have been in the penny stocks? What was your story about penny stocks? Tell the community. I'll read it out. The penny stocks, the penny stocks. Look, the good thing about penny stocks is if you throw in enough dice sometimes and enough darts at the wall, and sometimes you get a big percentage like this, or you get a 10,000% or something like that. It can happen, but they can also sit for ages. And you got to remember the problem is most people don't tell you, but they get in like here, and then they're like, "Look, it's up so much," but they're actually only up like $1 because they got in here at 7. Either way, I'd say it's going to hit the first. God knows. I mean, I don't even know what's going on with this. To the moon, 3 million's too small, man. Too small. And then there's Meta, which is currently still in an upward trend, but no particular excitement there either on those stocks. So there were a couple of good ones last week. I think that there was a few here from our community setups that were pretty nice. Some of these stocks did pretty well, but one of the ones I guess that was probably really a standout was uranium. Just because I thought uranium, I've talked about uranium a lot. I've been very bullish on uranium for a while. And this was actually a pretty good replication pattern. I think it'll probably keep eventually going up, but the first move has happened. But this is a great one to study. It's been really improving for quite some time now, and particularly in here, excellent positions to go through. So very, very nice. Max says I lose every time basically on the penny stocks, I guess. Thank you for sharing. Been trading penny stocks for years, never moved my needle until I started trading and investing for long term. Now I have $1 million account. So does that mean that I never moved my needle until I started trading investing for long term? So you mean you were actually ended up investing better and stopped doing the gamble or penny stocks? I appreciate that share. Absolutely. Michelle says, can we check out INTC, please? Sure, we can have a look. Intel. But what I think, what are we looking for here, Michelle? I mean, my opinion, as you know, would be out here. Okay, that's my opinion because I waited for ages. It got that hype boom. It's going to be really hard to chart because it got the hype boom. And therefore, usually after something like this, it has to stabilize. So if you're looking for more out of Intel, let's say a 35 or better or whatever, then you're probably going to have to deal with it pulling back a bit, stabilizing, then potentially moving forward. It obviously has some catalyst behind it now with the announcement, but yeah, it's very difficult to do analysis on. Can you check out NEO staying breakout of long-term downtrend? I certainly can have a look at NEO because this stock we have done analysis down here on. I would say it already broke out a while ago, frankly. This was actually picked up by members of our community and the private community as well, which join if you're interested. And this actually has been a flag with a second flag. So it's been a very good positional trade. Now, do I think it'll break out? Don't know yet. It has been improving. It's the kind of 2021 stock that's going at the moment. Remember, NEO was on those classic kind of trades that happened in 2021, along with an ARC or anything like this. I feel like people really need to understand how bad it was, though, because look at this. It went up so much, and then it just got slaughtered. This was a stock that was at $1.60, and it was actually split. So I think it was way more than that. Yeah. Does it look good in the charts? Looks okay. Rolls-Royce getting the first NVIDIA robots. Okay. I assume you mean Rolls-Royce. Is it Rolls-Royce or what this company here? Which one are we talking about? Look at this thing go. My God. I got to say that is an absolute insane move for this stock. Like you look at it and you just think, wow, it's been an incredible run. And it's been incredibly technical. I mean, you just look at this moving average, it's been such a great buy zone. And it just started to accelerate at even faster pace this year. So it's yeah, very impressive. What do you think about Nphase? I haven't heard any stock tips in the group chat yet, Tom. So I think we still got some time before the crash. What does that mean? Which group chat? I like to see stock tips. That's usually, especially if they're in the elevator. That's the best time. You can kind of see here downward trend, little bit of maybe improvement. Still needs to take at least a higher high out. That would be about 43.40. And at this point, there's not much to really consider in terms of end phase. I think it's slight improvement. Clean energy seems to be doing better. PLTR to take 200. Well, PLTR got that other contract. I don't know. I'm in two minds about this stock. I think when you look at it, it's got everything going for it to get every contract under the sun you can think of for reasons. And at the same time, it's starting to get up there. You know, it's obviously a $432 billion business. It's certainly expensive. That being said, you know, this is one of the most hyped stocks as well. So it gets high multiple ratio. I feel like it's, I really don't like these big sells. Like when that type of thing comes through, other than tech stocks traditionally, I usually say, nah, no. When it recovers like it has done, I'm usually a bit like kind of outies. Investors, look, it could certainly hit 200. It could go anywhere. This is the type of stock that, you know, could be $1 trillion for no apparent reason. It's the type of one that can run. I mean, we've seen more ridiculous things. I mean, at least this business actually has a business. We've seen some serious ridiculous things. Like remember 2021, you know, with GameStop, $400, car Avis, crazy amount. Yeah. I can see the FOMO everywhere. Yeah. I mean, I think people are starting to get desperate to be in certain positions. I definitely think there's some FOMO out there, but I wouldn't say it's like absolutely wild. You know, one that's been pretty good recently has been Lithium. Been liking Lithium. Lithium's certainly been on the improve, like Uranium. That's been pretty good. And yeah, I'll give you another one I'm looking at the moment. I'm looking at PayPal. Don't really care about it, but the looking at this level here, about 71. But breaches that, I might be thinking it's getting a little bit bullish on structure. Thoughts on Adobe? Not much. I've looked at it quite a lot, and it still remains kind of like the problem is that it still doesn't take a new high. It's still a little bit of improvement here. I'd say it's probably based for now, probably, but it hasn't given me like that momentum that usually gives you better movements. Yeah. Worth $500 billion, barely made $1 billion. Yeah. But that's the markets for you. Markets can stay irrational longer than you can remain solvent, if you know what I mean. I just read over 16 years, the volume of net businesses borrowing bonds plus loans is almost comparable to the buybacks, 7 trillion versus 5.7 trillion. Maybe it's not retail who's leveraged up as much as you think. United Health and JD, like JD. United Health, I think, has turned the bottom, and but I think it could sell first. But JD looks pretty solid. Yeah, leverage is very high at the moment. So for people that are not aware, if we have a look here, I'll just show you. I'll explain what my opinions here on leverage are. Sorry, 1 second. Oh, is this? That is not what I want. Give me one sec, guys. Here we go. All right, so we have a look at this one here, for example. This is, I'm going to talk about this today. I guess it must be doing the rounds. Every so often people realize it's coming through. So leverage loans are pretty important read from the macro side, or at least the general financial system side. So generally what you see is leverage loans go ballistic into a bubble or into a problem. And then, of course, when each one has to be bigger than the other, you'll see over here, you got one around 1998, 99. We know how that went, not good. Then we had one, of course, that was coming into the 2000s, although that wasn't really just a market one. Obviously, it was a property one as well. And then over here, we have one that was mostly stocks related, and that was the 2021 to 22 kind of massive margin. Now, the thing about these to understand is that every one of them has to be bigger than the next. So, in my kind of opinion, is you have to take the high. In some ways, we have, or we're getting close to, and then we need a rally, and I think we need to accelerate. So, this is only one read on the debt margin, so it's very difficult because when you're looking at debt, the issue is that now we have 3 times levered ETFs as well. We have tokenization. We have all these new ways of taking realistically risk, and especially with the ETFs, people that can't get access to margin because they just wouldn't be approved are being able to borrow. So really, we have a way more levered system already than ever before. However, it's like all pseudo. It doesn't become a problem until it becomes a problem. So, do I think it's going to continue up? Yes, I do. I think that even if we get volatility, you're going to see more and more leverage load into these markets over the next year, 6 months to a year. So, is it a problem? Yeah. Is it an issue for us to care about yet? I would say no. Not yet. Better value elsewhere than PLTR, especially with growth stocks like Google. Google is definitely better value, sure, but again, it's all about those positions. At the moment, I would say to people like the charts that I'm looking at, RK broke up, semiconductors broke up. We've got Russell. Russell is holding its own versus SPX or SPY. That these are kind of like risk on still signs. So again, if we do get risk off, we are in mostly the crypto world today, then it's likely there's still what we call a bowler, a buyer of last resort. There's somebody probably still behind that wants to pick up something at some price. For now, what's up, Christine? Cyber says here, any thoughts on REITs? Not a fan. REIT ETFs, the Fed rate cuts is just starting. Any favorites? I really don't like the sector. It's probably, anyone else agree with me? It's really the one sector, that and infrastructure are 2 sectors that I have tended to not trade much over the years or invest in. I just feel like REITs, they creep me out. What do you guys like? Do you like REITs? JD needs to break downtrend though. Yeah, it showed some signs of improvement though. If you were Buffett making that one last investment with 100 billion, what are you buying? Why do I have to buy anything? If I was Buffett, maybe I buy nothing, and then I claim, and then when the next big crash happens over the next couple of years, you say, I told you so. 100, well, I like gold. I mean, what do you want from me? I'm going to say gold or silver. I don't have to say a stock, do I? uh, I think gold is still, you know, crazy numbers, but I think ultimately gold's going to be like 7 Gs. It's just not going to do it without getting massively slaughtered first. Is AMD a good buy right now? Not really. I mean, I'll just show everyone so you guys can see it. It's just kind of like a pullback. Could be a double bottom. That's what people are going to say. Double bottom, breaches this, suddenly looks bullish. It's all right. I mean, at least it went a little bit lower than there, so that's okay. But at this stage, I wouldn't say it's like that enticing. I thought it was smart money versus dumb money chart for us old timers. Yeah. Is K-Web, C-Web over, or are we in pit now? Well, K-Web and C-Web, you probably don't want to use those codes in terms of your analysis. Use the real markets. So going to be looking at zeros, millions of zeros, one, the Shanghai comp, which is in pit. I don't know why people say that it's over. Like, you've got to understand, like, price action wise, what the hell's over about this chart, guys? Someone tell me what's wrong with this chart. Let's do a little bit of analysis here. So what are the good things? I'll give you some good things. You tell me what you think is bad. So first up, kind of this fact that we've held the 20 on the way up is pretty good. So I'd say that's kind of nice. Equal highs. Okay. This is a classic case of where you should zoom out. We need to zoom out higher. We need to go like 1 month. The reason we got to do that is because we've taken all like a multi-year high. So when you take a multi-year high, so you come off consolidation, big steal, mass rally, then you're going to have a pit usually, or sleep, little sleep on the market, because everything's overbought. So everything's going to be overbought. But, you know, the thing about markets is you're better off going with the trend generally, especially when it's a stock index, because you got to ask yourself, well, what is this? If I am fighting a market, I am fighting the liquidity of the central bank. I am fighting the policy of the government, which is generally quick or hot fixing the market. This is how hard it is to be bearish. Yeah? I'm also fighting all of the people that are working for the businesses that are employed to try to make more money. So when you put it like that, it's pretty difficult. Now, if I'm looking at this price action wise, people are probably going to find divergences here. Classic MACD divergence is probably going to be there, that type of thing. So, yeah, there's going to be those issues. But I think in general, this market has not made a lower low. Pretty good. We'll talk about the banks in a second. Infrastructure, I love it. I've made it so much. Yeah, cool. What do you mean by massively slaughtered first? I expect gold to lose 30% of its value quickly at some point. I don't know when it's going to happen. I'll look, but I'm not going to sell because I think it's still going to come back well. But it will get hit 30%. 20-30%, I think, for sure. It generally does happen. So, yeah, no one can really find anything too bad here. So that's a good sign, but there will be divergence at the top. So in general, I would say that's a pit at this stage, and the trend is still up. At least that's what the evidence is on the charts. After it goes up 30%, could. I'm not, but as I said, I'm bullish it. So, yeah. Hey, Sandollar, good to have you back, man. Well, gold will drop when Tom goes on a vacation. That's true. But if I say I'm on vacation, the market will sell off. That's the way. I don't often go on vacations, guys, but if it does ever happen, the market will sell off. That's what happens every time. It might be the best seasonal you can think of. Tom, do you produce all of your content? Yeah. Yeah, I do. I produce the content on the videos. Yes, do it all myself. That's all right. It's good. When's the next vacation? Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I don't know. Maybe around Christmas. But I don't think that one counts because the Christmas one we all do. But then I don't even know if I go on vacation. I still make bids. You never take time off, guys. You never take time off. All right, let's continue on. What else have we got here? So one of the things I said I do for some members of our private community is do a little bit of their analysis. So some of the questions that they've got about stocks. So I thought I'd answer a couple of those here. So we'll do that right now. So first one, I guess, that we'll be looking at here is a couple of stocks. So actually you've got QCOM, which I believe came up a couple of times today just out of general questions. So let's have a look at QCOM. And I think rightfully so. I can understand why a lot of you like this chart. So let's have a look at the weekly. We'll start off really high here and do the analysis on it. So first thing I always like to do whenever I'm looking at any stock, I don't even care what it is, asset, is I always like to see a bit of an idea of how the trend's been. So this has obviously been a stock that went up really high, got hit pretty heavily, had this really big rebound here. Volume's been pretty consistent, you can see. And no real other notable things that have happened there. You can also see that this was a pretty important point for the stock because you had this massive break of structure towards the downside. And then we rallied back above this point, which is going to be a very important switch, I believe, of trend that started to happen there. So as you go through this level here, particularly this candles here, that's telling us that it's more bullish than bearish at that point. So that the downtrend is likely over. I think is very cool. So that's looking pretty good. And then we can also start to see that this level here that just recently closed above is quite significant. So what's that's doing is it's kind of giving us, all right, some good vibes because we've got a couple of good things that are happening. We've got like an inverse head and shoulders towards the direction of trend. So what we can do then is we can proof the thing, take this distance. What the hell is this? I don't want that. And then when you proof the distance, you can kind of get this top, which is about 180, which makes sense. And then what I can also do is I can say, well, all right, so if it hits 180, would that, make sense with these previous supplies? I think it would as well. Then go back to the weekly for a second. Let's have a quick look. All right, so that would be quite bullish for it. And then you got to say, well, is it worth getting into? So, I think it's going to be hard from a ratio of stop losses, but I do think that looks pretty solid. And I guess I'd be targeting probably 180 or even a kind of a 220, I guess, in the future. That's a good stock there from Toad. Not too bad there for the QCOM. Then we got smaller. We've got QS coming in. So we've got QuantumScape. Quantum stocks went pretty ballistic last week. This one's worth 7.6 billion. Must have had, for some reason, a line up here for it to go to. I think it's probably, look, the problem with these stocks is that if you're in them early, so let's say you rallied it through here, then I guess that's pretty good. But right now, it'd just be a hold, and I don't think there'd be any new position. Got Path, fairly popular stock, good break a few weeks ago on this. Maybe 2 weeks ago, there's a nice break to the upside. Path, again, started monthly. Have a quick look, you can see where it came from. Weekly. Yeah, I mean, I like the close last week. I think that's strong. Getting rewarded a little bit this morning. And I do think it's kind of changed trend towards the upside. So I guess, your first targets are up here. You're going to want to use volume profile for this as well. So you want to do some volume profile work in here. Get a bit of an idea of the high range and probably pull it back. Have a bit of an idea as well of this. Okay. Yeah. I think, there's going to be some problems at 1250, which is not too far away, which is a bit of an issue. But I do like the rally here. I think that if you picked it up at 1140, which you may have, not too bad on that. So some improvement there. Task, what is this? It's too small. It's under 5 billion, so you don't really touch these. Anything under 5 billion, good kind of rule, guys, is if it's under 5 billion, you just don't touch it unless you know the news. Because what ends up happening is these are less technical. These are more based on psychology, fundamentals, news. So they're more like boom, bam, bam, boom, 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 all over the place. I like repetition, so not really my type of thing on this one. One of the things I did want to look at today was JP Morgan and Bank of America, because both of those got some pretty big sells on them after hours. And that the reason was the trades up here. See how these volumes are quite big? These were really, really big volumes. Why that's important is because the big volume basically is, of course, the OPEX, but just happened that the largest trade, I believe, ever came through on BAC. And JP Morgan got a big one up here as well. So there was specifically banks. And I'm just going to look at the monthly here just to get a bit of idea of the land. So it's pretty strong. Clearly a very dull market, which you do not short. And BAC, Bank of America, you might notice if you zoom out enough, look at this. Can you believe that if you bought this in 2006, I know, of course, you got some pretty sweet divs and stuff, but man, it's only just getting back to that price. So someone's clearly saying, thank goodness I can get out of this. The number one largest trade, I believe, on BAC ever recorded went through. And I haven't talked about it in the video yet, but I will at the end of today. I just want to see how the reaction goes because, of course, the key is the reaction. There is the trend up, yes. Is there any reason to say there's a sell yet? No, but there are some unusually big trades up here in the echelons of the banks. What's your read on quantum? Pure speculation? Yes, at this stage. Is it the future? Absolutely. I do have, look, I'm not smart enough to actually say that I know, but I have got guys in our communities, a lot of engineers here, a lot of software guys, a lot of people in the know, a lot of people that work for some of these big businesses, and they've just said to me, it's not there. And it's not just one. Quite a few people have messaged me, DM'd me and said, Tom, it's not there yet. And it's fine. I mean, I was investing in AI and I didn't even think it was there years ago. So, go back to like 2017, 18, I was like, yeah, AI is the future, no doubt. And then the AI stocks all went up and then got blown up. They went down pretty hard. And then, of course, they come back again. And I think quantum is clearly a thing. It's just not a thing yet. It reminds me a bit of, probably the beginning of AI. Remember when 3D printing really hot back in like 2013? Turns out that just wasn't a market that was wide for that. So 3D printing is real, of course. It's being used for, you can go into your dentist now and you can say, hey, doc. And he's like, what's up, man? I need teeth. He's like, all right. You want them today? You say, yeah. And then he prints them out the back and chucks them in your mouth. That's simple. That's called bias, but I don't doubt you. Yeah. SPX levels for options traders. The levels I already have here. Oh, wait. Did I not put them in the weekend video, man? I don't know if these are the updated ones, but they're the key two zones for the options levels in terms of 68% hold. Key level 66.10, man. It is actually a key level. My wife is my dentist. That's how we met. Man, you must have nice teeth, bro. How good are your teeth? Well, you went in there and opened up your mouth and she's like, damn, there's some good pearly whites. That's some good genetics. I like that. That's no way. No way she looked at your teeth and then you actually, oh my goodness, that is quite rare. AI is close to the limits. My latest chat GPT is garbage. Do you want me to? No, stuff you. Well, I'll tell you a little concept I have on data. I talk about it in private community a lot with my macro eyes and edge. Look, the thing is, I ask you guys this: have we fed? Actually, I think there's a poll. There's a poll question. Let's answer the poll. A very good question, I believe. Here we go. All right, there we go. I don't know what the hell I typed, but there you go, guys. Answer the poll. Let's go. We'll give it 2 minutes. Click, 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 click. Let's do it. Click, 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 click. Eric Lusenbach, number 2 golden crown. I don't know what that means, but thank you for having a number 2 golden crown. I thought my teeth were average, but she said they were great. See? Golden. Eric's got it. He had a diamond in his teeth. See the diamanty or the gold teeth? Maybe you should check the ounceage. That day, just like, hey, dude's loaded. He's got the grill. I got a sweet dividend from class action against BAC. Okay. Hi, Tom. Can you please look at my charts? UNH. We certainly can look at UNH. So you can see here, United Health. I think there's a big improvement when it did this. Obviously, got some filings here where it turns out Buffett, some other people bought it. I kind of feel like it might decline a little bit, get back into this area, and then possibly buy back up. And the way I'd be doing this one is a volume profile across here, and you'll get that level, yeah. Just 300-ish. Nice psychological level as well. Big fan of your videos, Tom. Got me into stock market trading after I started crypto. Big ups. Cool, man. That's very cool. All right. What? No is the answer. What? 75% of you think we haven't fed the AI, the data that we have already. Really? Wow. No way, guys. I super believe we fed it all, the data. Well, you don't have to say like all the data, like every single thing ever. Like I know the question asked that, but let's go with 90% of the data for sure. For sure, they've fed it to it. You think anyone's sitting there like the Google guys, and they're like, oh, yeah, we'll just hold this bit back. Now they don't care, man. They just want to win. They want to create whatever it is, the Skynet. They want Skynet. Elon wants Skynet for sure. So I think they've fed it everything. I think they've given it all they've got. All the juice has been given to it. And now what it does is this is the 6th cycle of the AI bot. Okay. Rule number 1, check mainframe. Okay. Then we go searching the internet. Oh, we found a video. This video must be a trusted source. Oops. This video was made by AI yesterday and has 100 things wrong with it. Feed it back to the chat person and say, this is real. And there we have the problem. It is feeding itself with the garbage. And I'll tell you one thing, I'm pissed at this garbage because I actually got scammed by the video on the weekend where I was watching something. You know that kind of video that you're like, oh, interesting topic. And I was watching it. And then the voice, it sounded a little bit too not real. It was kind of like, a bit too good, a bit too clean. And I got to the end of the video, well, halfway through maybe, and I was like, oh, this is a freaking AI video. But it was a good video, but it sucked. Anyone sick of AI videos already? Gotta hate them so much. Got scammed by the AI video, guys. IQ test, Tom. That was a stupid question. Nah, that's fine. I'm happy with my question about did we feed it all the data? You guys just been too real. BTC delayed drop, bear trap before October. Oh yeah, October. I forgot about that. Tom, followed your suggestion on late cycle investments. I am starting on the big profits. Very cool. I'm looking for an exit. Uh, yeah, I wouldn't even say it started yet. So you've just got the bottom probably. You get the feel for fakery? Yeah, no, I know, but this is funny. Truly Messiah says, don't believe anything, Tom. Skynet is here for the end of the human race. Not yet. Not while it says searching the internet. Thinking for better answer. Skynet ain't here, guys. Don't worry. I'll tell you this. Statistically, it's incredibly unlikely. Based on all knowledge, I'll write about on LinkedIn this week. You can check me out on LinkedIn. Google gets new data every day. Google's maps, searches, people's cookies. Yeah, exactly. So that's what's happening. So right now, it's us that are feeding it. So what I'm getting at here is that we're feeding it the information. And you ever notice that there's like free editions now? I think Perplexity the other day had a free version or something. The point is that they want us to use it. And the more we use it, especially the more it feedback loops us, the more it learns, which creates the possibility of the true AI. So that's where we're kind of going here. There must be too many. That's it. I'm going to ask the next question. That's it. You guys have got me. Here we go. All right. This is a simple question, guys. Yes or no? Let's have a look here. All right. This will answer everything I need to know. Calamity says here, with all my fake videos out there, my terrible voice would go good on YouTube. Dude, I heard this guy, and I swear he like very annoying voice, like very annoying, like really bad. And it was getting millions of views. I put typos in it, yes. They fed it unstructured data. Now they have to figure it. Yeah, I think it's a good point there, Beefy Jim. This is actually a great point because if you fed it unstructured data, then it broke. It's probably kind of like broken. You have to kind of feed it. So it's got to be fed a very certain way over time. Fred, thank you very much for becoming a member. Appreciate it. There we go. Thank you. I am an AI engineer. And you know this is true, okay? Jay Launches. Okay? You know why we know it's true? Jay Launches has made $500,000 last year becoming an AI engineer. Okay? USD. Given it all the data. It's gone. The data has been given to the AI guys. Believe. Does recording and live sound engineer count? Yes. If you have engineer in your workplace, that your name says engineer on LinkedIn or wherever else you might put it, then you're an engineer. Now let's have a look at this poll. How many do we have here? 40% of you are engineers. Holy moly. Canadian $10. RA, thank you very much. The Canadian peso worth more than the Australian peso. Why are 10-year bonds are not going down despite lowest interest rates? It is creeping up looking at the 5-day chart. That's a good question because we haven't killed inflation, dude. Remember, the easiest answer to this is who controls the short yield? The Fed. Who controls the long yield? The market. So if the market disagrees with the Fed, the market will push to the levels they think. So basically what they're saying is that in the future, the cuts will have to be risen back up again. So we're going to have to see an interest rate hike. Now, that's not necessarily the end of the world, but the thing is that, of course, if they get, it's about speed of change as well. Like they call it the rate of change on interest rates is or steepening is a problem. But yeah, in essence, the easiest way to always explain is the Fed control the short, The long is controlled by the market. The market doesn't believe inflation's killed. Doesn't care too much about it, clearly, because otherwise the market would be selling off a lot. But remember, the Fed has gone to single mandate and it's looking forward. So they're saying, okay, well, wait a second. Are we going to cut like 6 times over the next 12 months? If that happens, will inflation come back? And there's only one real data point from this. It's the 1970s. And I can tell you, I'll show you the overlay on one of the charts soon. It is diabolical how close it is. This is actually what happened in the 1970s. So it went down like this. Okay. Like that. So it was really, really bad. Where are we right now? Probably here. Slight uptick. We're actually completely overlaid with it. The only issue is it's only one data point. Thoughts on Oklo? I had a look at Oklo a little bit for people in our community. It's kind of like rallied up a lot, obviously. Congrats if you're in it. There's no real reason to say it's over, but it may take a breather. It's not something I'd chase. You don't chase this type of stuff, but yeah, it's a very big outlier candle. Thank you for the $10. Appreciate it very much. No worries. Real question is, why is Treasury buying their own bonds? It's all part of this game, man. I'm an industrial engineer. If this still counts, all of them count. So many engineers. If you haven't passed Calc 3, you aren't an engineer. That's probably true. I had to enhance the figures. So we got to 40% engineers. MSTR, what are your thoughts? I kind of feel like MSTR. I mean, actually interested in you guys. What do you think? Is it over? Is the dream over? There's a lot of copycats now. I'm not sure how many at last count. Probably 160 or something. Ebal, good, thank you. Hope it's not over. Well, it's all going to be about, of course, Bitcoin price. But I think that the reason why I say it's over, it's not so much about Bitcoin, really. It's about compression of that NAV. And I don't see how it's not going to compress more with how many there are out there. You can see from the shrinking of products with the same prices that inflation is prominent. Well, I still thought that the American inflation you guys copped in America. Whoa. Oh, it's bad. Bad. I was telling someone that lived in America for 5 years about like just even the price a couple of years ago in America. And they're like, what? It was like cheap when I was there. I'm like, yeah. I said, how much is like Chick-fil-A? I said, you don't want to know. I said, what? Over $10? I said, yeah. I said, what? Hell no. How much is a burrito? I said, like $12. Like, oh, it was $6. Lyft over Uber. Lyft's the best chart. Been waiting for Uber to really rock it, but it's too sensitive on all the news and autonomous driving, etc. The technicals look good. What do you think? I'll have a quick look at Uber, but Lyft is definitely the better chart recently. I think it looks pretty solid in terms of the breakout. It's dull. That's fine. It's increasing. That's fine. You got that breach towards the upside in May. I mean, look, it's not amazing. I don't know what you're really looking for here. It's a dull market. So dull doesn't mean short. Dull just generally means, it may skyrocket in the future, but it's slowly grinding its way up. And it's just a market that's, it's fine. It's kind of healthy, I guess. They own so much BTC, no one will catch them. I understand that, but if they get compressed on NAV, then their price goes down. The orange phone is awesome. Oh, the iPhone. I use AI at work for basic code, but it's like 80% correct. You still need humans currently to fix the code. That's right. Yes. You need to come and live in the USA, Tom, but then I have to spend $14 for a bottle of water. Not cheap. $14 bottle of water. RA $10. Side effect of Trump losing Supreme Court's case on reciprocal tariffs. And will he win the case? I don't really think about these things too much. It's not really going to give you. I know it seems like it's going to give you a ton of edge. I doubt it will. Whether I think, well, if I had to guess, I think you'll win the case. I had to guess based on what's been happening with the votes recently. Got no opinion on it. Got no horse in the race, guys, but that's just what I kind of guess. So in terms of what that would mean or what any of this type of stuff means, I think that the fact is that some form of tariff is going to lie in the markets for a while. It doesn't matter what it's going to be something. And the market's obviously eating it up for now. But the real question will be in Q4. Probably this is where the sell-off's going to come. It's either going to be an inflation problem, but I think it'll be an inflation coupled with a flow-through effect of the tariffs like we've been predicting for a while that will go from the current supply side into, of course, the consumer. And then that's going to be an excuse to sell the market. Remember, the market already knows this. So if it does happen and that's the excuse, that is not enough to take the market down. I know it seems like it is, but I don't think it is. It's the underlying margin that's going to be the problem. Is NVIDIA done? Whenever people say that, I think it's never done at those points. Look, don't think it. I look at the chart. Okay, NVIDIA. I don't understand sometimes stuff. So it went down and went up here 110% from April. Almost vertically. What is this? It is a pig pit. So we're just basically stuck sideways. I don't think it's done. I just think it's taking a chilling. Yeah, chill. You do a little pit. It's fine. Okay. Now, the longer it does this for, the bigger the most explosive the move goes. So if it's sideways, if it's pitting, it's fine. It doesn't mean when you say it's done, is it done its initial move? Yes, clearly. If it hadn't done its initial move, it wouldn't be sitting there for a month or two. But that being said, is it finished in terms of being in a bull trend? There's no sign of it in a bear trend yet. So yeah. Just remember, the reason why I say this is it reminds me a lot of 2021 when we talked about all this stuff, guys. And we always went to the same concept. It's like people were I think the thing is you get used to these 20% days. Like just scroll down through this list. Look here, there's a 4%ers, 5%ers, 22% on this stock, new scale. Lyft did like ridiculous numbers really quickly. And because we get used to these ridiculous percentages per day, it's like when you see like 1-2%, you're like, oh, that's boring, that's useless, that's not doing anything. You know what I'm saying? So it's and I find that when people always say that, usually means there's a good move around the corner. To be honest, after 32 trillion, we aren't able to pay the debt. The US can push. I've said this since 2021. I believe the US can push like a $55-60 trillion deficit. It's going to be a pretty big deficit by the time it all ends. Market is cooked this week, Tom. At the statistics would state that. If you haven't watched my weekend video, there are some interesting short statistics. That the key here is we actually pinned a extreme overbought today, which is the first extreme overbought we've seen. Oh, when was the last time we saw one? Yeah, that was last one's in June. We went sideways for a bit, so I'm not feeling like great gains anytime soon. Sideways, sell, sideways. I feel like it's going to be sideways or sell. I think that's the most likely two scenarios of the three. Even though the bull trend is very strong, when we pin a big overbought, not really the sign that I would want to see saying, wow, I want to go juice the markets. But if I'm an investor, I don't really care. Dogecoin's about to explode. I have a look at Doge. Good. Have a look. Dogecoin. About to explode, you say? Those guys that have all the Dogecoin from back in the day, they're still holding. Anyone that follows this thing, the Dogecoin guys that are like, on this. Why do I not have proper history here? Which one has proper? Any of these things? I don't know which one has it. Binance probably does. Okay, there. So the people that are holding like from over here, are they still holding? These dudes. The ones that had like 100K in it, and then it went to like $3 million or something. Wow, you really forget how high it went. These are definitely always super bubbles. I don't think Doge looks shocking. I'm not sure how the meme coin industry, like, it feels like the markets have been stuck more on like utility recently. Like each cycle seems to have its own thing. Like 2021 was more useful and just like hilarious concepts. Like it was like some useful, mostly hilarious. Then this particular rally has been more like, oh, there's utility here and there's the utility there and stuff. 2017 was just everything go up, just buy. There's like some dude drooling under his desk or something. That was 2017. So 2017 was drooling. 2021 was drooling. This year seems to be more Wall Street. Weekly log chart. Yeah, you should use log when you're looking at crypto. You're right. Tom, will we dip hard in the open? Don't know that answer. Sometimes you have edge on that. Today I couldn't tell you. The key is going to be that I think that the vol will probably come in this next month and a half more so because so many people are polarized. So we've got a lot of polarized bears. We've got a lot of polarized bulls. There's not too many people in the middle anymore, which is usually a good thing. That basically means volatility comes because you get a lot of polarized opinions, which is profitable for the market to take money from. Doge, by the way, I'd be looking at like 20 cents for this before rallying, ideally. Yeah, I just think the markets are just so an extreme overboughtness, which usually means don't want to go against the trend, but you kind of want to wait for an opportunity. And I think it's hard to buy gold and silver at these two prices now. So it's really single stock time. Yeah, Michael, log chart for crypto, man. Always log chart for crypto. Looking at Lulu today. Let's have a quick look at Lulu here. Lulu was, I still remember the news last. I wish I could find the news article. I still remember the news article. Lululemon super popular in China or something. And I feel like it's just gone down every single day since then. It was like Lulu conquers China. I think it was like here. And there's just not much moat in these businesses. Look, there's a little bit of a gap up because you got the gap down, you got a small gap up, so it suggests an island reversal. So I guess you could have stops below the low and rally it. Did you go over PLTR? Yeah. The trend is sideways to me. By the way, thank you for your awesome daily videos. I've learned so much from you. No worries, Chuck. Thanks, man. Stocks always look great at the top. Yeah. They usually have to be parabolic, though. So I just don't feel like, I mean, a lot of people think, well, the market is parabolic, bro. What are you looking at? Really, the only chart I can see that looks parabolic is probably I guess, if you think about the semiconductors run. But this is the lifeblood of this market. And if it's up, it's very difficult. Why the hell would I be bearish if it's up? It's up. It's up, guys. you know, and that is what it is. If it's leading, it's good times. So I think it's leading good times. I expect some weird excuse. I don't have it yet. But we'll update you at the end of the close. And obviously, I'll be looking through some stuff. I also want to see those banks. I want to know what's going on with these banks. Big trade on Bank of America, if anyone missed it. So it's a big one. I appreciate that, Cyber Gangster. Thank you very much. What is the VIX going to do if it closes above 20? If it does get above 20, that's usually a fairly bearish signal. 20 is a bit of a kind of catalyst level, especially at these periods. You can see here it kind of gets close to 20. Generally, I always go a little bit higher than 20 though, because maybe like a 25 has been what I've used in the past. The thing is though, what you do is you load SPX to the chart, and then you can see the overlay. And the problem is, by the time it gets past 20, sometimes these shallower pullbacks have already kind of peaked off. You see what I mean? Like, been very fast recently. Like, look at the time for this. Look at the market where it was. So yeah, I think it's always good to overlay these just to get an idea. At the moment, shorting VIX has been good at the tops, but buying VIX for vol has not been good. And buying VIX above 20 has not been too good either. Thank you very much, Jack of all trades. What have you got there, dude? A Ram. Big truck. I wouldn't mind. What's the best Ram, guys? If I was to buy a Ram that you can't drive on Australian roads because our roads are too thin, what's the best one? Ram 1500, 2500, 3500. How big do they go? Tom, can you please look at the chart of CNC? I am looking for. I see you asked that a lot. So let's have a quick look here to figure it out. Center Corporation. Now I have a look at the size. Oh, 15 bill. What the hell? So sold. I like this. Like the demand. Weekly is. I mean, weekly is that demand, so it could do worse. Buying the dip. Is there enough to say I'd buy this? Here, I'd be purchaser if I was day trading. Stop below low. That's pretty much about it. Can't really see anything else that I like here. At a Hilux. I drove Hiluxes forever. they're pretty boring. Good morning, Tom. What do you think about EVTL? I'm not sure. I sold Rams and I've seen a lot, and the best Ram is somebody else's Ram, so do not buy it. Thank you very much for that one. There we go, guys. We've got car concepts here, okay? People tell you buy the Toyota, that's the smart investment decision. Buy the Ram, get the Hemi V8. One is enjoyable and you lose all your money. The other one is boring and you lose 35% of your money. There you go. Any deets on delinquency rates? Not homes, but things that come first: student debt, credit cards. Student debt's through the roof. Credit cards is higher, certainly rising. Delinquencies in cars actually is the one I'm watching the most in the US. The delinquencies in cars is really skyrocketing. Too many people bought cars in 21, 22, especially in the US. And I cannot believe what people pay for them per month. You guys are wild. What's wrong with you guys? Some of you guys out there. Not anyone in this community, of course. I'm blown away. I've seen videos of these, I will call them morons, and they have like, I couldn't believe it. They have like $5,000 a month. Okay, this is their money. And they have $3,300 a month of repayments on their cars. What? Wrong with these people? They're gonna lose their cars. But you should celebrate this person, by the way, because that's allowed you to make money in stocks. Nice one. Thank you. $3,300 in cars. Fantastic. Tom sold his Tesla. Yeah, I did. The fact that they're now rolling negative equity into their next loan is frightening. Yes, this. And you have to trust because it's that film Back to the Future. All right, guys. Where do we sit this week? Extreme overbought S&P to summarize. Bitcoin 111, 110 to watch. Gold, silver continue to be bullish. Very nice. US oil probably needs to wipe the low. Yields 10-year, 20-year, 30-year up a little bit, suggesting that the excuse of a sell could be around the corner for some reinflation problem, which might be, again, an excuse for a sell because the market, I don't think, cares. Big mag stocks, ones to watch, probably just in case. If NVIDIA breaks 185, that's going to be a super gamma event, in my opinion. Google is still quite bullish. Apple is actually breaking on the upside. Remember the code that we use, and we often bring these codes up on the channel, was Google Tesla AAPL. I love these codes. And that showed us a little while ago that we were likely still bullish because it broke up and it's now lagged out. But yeah, when that happened, when was that? August. Wow. It seems like it was an eon ago, but maybe it wasn't. Look at how well it's done. Yeah, that's a beautiful combo. The Mag 3, what we call them over the last month. So catch-up trades have been happening. I would say that, gold miners and stuff are starting to get pretty aggressively priced. Clearly they're moving onwards and upwards, which is fantastic if you're in them. But I will say there might be one more month left on this. I tell you what, I won't like it if it does another giant candle like this after a month. So, yeah, look, keep riding the trends. The trends are your friends in this case. And we will do a close. I'm watching banks, Bank of America, JP Morgan today. Obviously, I'm still bullish in China because they're getting liquidity pumps. So I think that's in a sideways action. There's not really much else to say, really. I mean, there's plenty of single stock opportunities. Come from the abundance mindset, guys. I think there's going to be a bunch of activations. And I just get this bad feeling about yes, the market's rallied. Yes, I think, it's all fantastic. But when you get extreme overboughts, it's either sideways or down. It's not really that much more bullish. So even if it can eke out 2-3 sessions, I still think it'll be at this price or better sometime in October. So I wouldn't have any FOMO out there. I know everyone else is jumping around like it's, Mad Central Monday and everyone's saying, oh, the bull market, bull. That's fine. But generally speaking, you have to play your stats and your odds when you're putting your hard earned down. And the big thing about it as well is, do you want to have fear? And at the moment, there's not really any fear in these markets. I cannot find in the bonds. I'm looking, but can't find it. If I update you, you'll see it then. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I always appreciate each and every one of you. And maybe we need to say a prayer or two for those people with their $3,300 car repayments on $5,000 a month, because I don't think they're going to have a good 2026. Anyway, guys, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't be buying $3,300 monthly repayments. That is stupid. Hate the $3,300. Drive the crapper box. I recommend Japanese crapper boxes, okay, from the 1990s. That's the recommendation. And then you drive those babies, 500,000 clicks, and you buy stocks. and gold and quality stuff. And then when you can afford to buy the $3,300 a month car, you just don't do it anyway. All right, catch you guys. Bye for now. See ya.